Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of Bronze to Mythic for Aether Drift Draft. Not much to say this time, we're following off a grade 7 of the last time, and we're just going to see if we can do it again. Alright, and here we are with our Pack 1, Pick 1 for this draft. Our rare here is Caradora. This card is great. It searches for a library or mount, and then anytime a +1/+1 counter would be put on a creature or vehicle, you get that many +1/+1 counters instead. It's going to be hard to top this card for me. I really like this card. It's also green, which is a great color, and so I'm going to go ahead and hover that one. Other cards in this pack, just worth noting, Gallon Strike is a great card. I do always like Transit Mage, but I don't love taking it this early. It kind of requires you to fit into this like artifact type of theme. Momentum Breaker is a fine removal spell for limited. Edicts are okay. Rocketeer Boost Buggy also okay. Ride's End is, premium removal. If we wield that, either that or the Gallon Strike, we'd be really happy. And Siphon Fuel also not terrible. This is a pretty good pack. So we're gonna go ahead and take that Caradora. Ooh. Okay, so Zahur is one of my favorite cards in the set. It's a card I really like drafting around. It starts your engines, and then you can sacrifice another creature to surveil one, and then when you get to max speed, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you make a 2/2. Now, it doesn't super go with this Caradora, but the thing about Zahur is you really need to take it early to draft it, and so I almost am tempted to take it just so we can kind of experience that, once in this like Bronze to Mythic. It's a lot of fun. And then who knows, maybe we get enough fixing that we can kind of splash in this Caradora somewhere. Not that there are a lot of mounts or vehicles in these colors we want to do. You know what? Draft is about having fun. I love this card. We're just going to give it a shot. If I was drafting optimally here, I would probably be taking this Hazard of the Dunes, because we do already have our Caradora, which is a pretty strong start. But we're going to take Zahur, and we're going to have some fun playing black-white today. Alright. So Zahur kind of makes you want to get to like your max speed as quickly as possible, which is typically pretty good with like Packdoll Terror or like other artifact type of things that do that. The other way to get your speed up faster is Nesting Bot. That is because it starts your engines on turn 1. Not that it's an incredible card, but honestly this pack is pretty underwhelming. If we didn't have this Zahur, this would have been the moment to play Push the Limit, but I'm sure we'll get to another chance to do that one. And there's, just not really anything else exciting. We'll try to pick up a Deathless Pilot, but I don't think we need to pick it up this early. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take this Nesting Bot. Unlike our first pack, there's a couple good blue cards in this pack, but other than that, this pack's pretty underwhelming. Okay. This pack has a couple of options. I do like Roadside Assistance, but this is not really the deck I think it belongs in. There's a Night Market if we wanted fixing, and then Voyager Quick Welder. If we end up playing some sort of like black-white artifact synergy type thing, this makes all of our artifacts cost less, which is kind of cool. There is also a Risky Shortcut, which is a totally fine card. I think this deck likely would have ended up green, blue, white if I was playing like optimally, but I really do want to play this Zahur. I probably would have taken the Sky Serpent Seeker, but I think I'm going to take this Quick Welder. And, there's a chance we need to abandon if it's not open enough to play Zahur, but I want to at least give it a shot. Okay, so whenever you're playing artifacts, a good place to be is like Esper type colors, which doesn't super work with our Caradora, but I don't think our Caradora is going to super fit into this deck anyway. And it doesn't appear, or like one of the colors that appears like it's been pretty open, which I just explained was blue. And Memory Guardian is very good in these artifact decks. So I'm thinking maybe we can just play an artifact deck that plays Zahur. Then, we got a couple ways to get speed, a couple ways to fix. We could take this blue-black land. I do think I'm going to take the Memory Guardian. I just think it's a pretty strong artifact synergy card. Alright. This pack is significantly less exciting. There's a black-red land, which is not super helping us. I think I am going to just stick to this like artifact synergy thing we talked about here and take this Gear Seeker Serpent. I think I like that. Okay. So now we have Collision Course, which I'm pretty low on Collision Course as a removal spell. Sky Streak Engineer is a good card. And a couple things I'm a little less excited to take. I think I'm going to take the Sky Streak Engineer. The 1/3 flyers are pretty good at helping you push your speed early. Typically, you want to play her with the other black-white cards. You want to play like Embalmed Descendant, and you know, like those like black-white type of cards. We haven't seen any of those, but I think it'll be interesting to see how it works in terms of these like blue-white Esper type artifact decks. All right, so I do think one of the cool cards you can play with Zahir is Wickerfolk Indomitable. You can cast it from your graveyard by sacrificing an artifact or creature. So you get to cast your 4/3, and then Zahir also makes a 2/2. It's kind of cute. It's maybe not something I would like super think about otherwise, but I think I'm going to go ahead and take it. All right, this is our pack from earlier. I think I'm going to take the Siphon Fuel. Both white removal spells are gone, which is good to know. I'll take the Siphon Fuel, and maybe we'll be heavier into black-blue splashing for the white. Not quite how I wanted this draft to go. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Swiftwing Assailant. I don't think either of these cards would make our decks, but this color set doesn't have a whole lot of vehicles. Actually, I think the benefit if we get like Broadcast Rambler or something is a little bit more beneficial, so I'm going to go ahead and take this Roadside Assistance. I'm not sure we're going to play it though. Pop. Okay. Let's take the 2/2 flyer. There's not much other excitement in this pack. At least this card flies. It has some evasion. It's really interesting to see like where your thoughts can dive you into such a different deck. There's no chance that if we continued building around the Caradora, our deck would look remotely close to this. I don't think we're off to too bad of a start. It's definitely a little awkward, but that's okay, I think. Glitchko Surveyor does also start our engines. We do also need to get fixing. I consider taking the blue black land over the Memory Guardian, but Memory Guardian just is one of the stronger cards in this archetype, and I feel like we can find fixing at other points during the draft. Well, maybe this is the time. So we're going to pack 2, pick one. Burnout Bastronaut is the rare. This card is very good, but is not remotely close to this, kind of strategy we're going to here. There's a Momentum Breaker, which is a fine card. Autark Mammoth, I love this card, but we're not drafting green this time. Bounce Off and Flood the Engine are both pretty good cards. Flood the Engine is, I think, the best option for us here. I'm deciding if I'd rather take the white-black fixing land, but we don't really have a whole lot of removal yet, so I'm going to go ahead and say we can try to find our fixing a little bit later and take this Flood the Engine. Worst comes to worst, if we don't find the fixing, it might also be an adventure to, like, not play all of our colors or something. We can take a look at that throughout the draft. All right, Chrome Mox. Non-artifact, non-land. Very cool card. I would probably take it if we were drafting in paper, but not super helpful for the strategy we're in here. I do love a Howler's Heavy. I do also like Cloudspire Captain, but this is not really the deck for it. We don't have a lot of mounts or vehicles. Those decks end up being closer to white-red. There's also a Spot Cycle Scouter and a Guide Light Optimizer, which are good for the artifact type synergies. I'm kind of unexcited about all of these things, to be honest. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take this Howler's Heavy. Repurposing Bay. Unfortunately, as cool as it is, it's not an incredible limited card. I am going to go ahead and put these back out just for like visualization purposes. I'm going to put this Caradora on the sideboard. I think the pick in this pack is Broadcast Rambler. Broadcast Rambler is definitely one of the better options in terms of artifact cards. It makes 2 artifacts. It's a little bigger, and it works pretty well with our Roadside Assistance. There is also another Gearseeker Serpent, but I think I would rather have the Rambler So I'm going to go ahead and take that. All right. A response unit is totally fine. Wicker Folk, a great artifact card. I am now deciding how serious I want to be about fixing / playing other colors. Because I could take this Dismal Blackwater here, and at some point I do need to acknowledge that if I want to play, you know, as many colors as are in front of me, that I do need fixing, but this Wicker Folk is really calling my name. The thing is that other than Zahur, there's not really any black cards we super care about playing, and so I think I'm going to go ahead and take the fixing land. Oh, Haunt the Network. Well, this is a card to definitely splash black for in your artifact deck. This card's great. It says choose target opponent, you make 2 Thopters, and then that player loses X life and you gain X life for X is the number of artifacts you control. This frequently is doing like 5-6 damage, which is just so much for limited. This pack also has Gear Seeker Serpent and Engine Rat, 2 other, relatively exciting cards, but Haunt the Network, it slots right into this deck. We're going to go ahead and take that. Okay, options in our colors are Interface Ace, Holdrifter, and Ribclaw Wrangler. I think Ribclaw Wrangler sucks. I consider this card to be unplayable. Interface Ace is fine for decks that have a lot of things where, like, you can tap it. I really like it with March of the World. It's better in, like, the white-green decks. If we ended up in a deck closer to Caradora, I'd be more interested in this card. But Holdrifter is an artifact. It draws some cards. And so I think it'll slot nicely into this deck that we've got here. Okay. Here we have Hellish Sideswipe. There's also a Guidelight Optimizer or Spin Out. I do think black is going to be our splash. That being said, Guidelight Optimizer is not a card that super excites me. I do think I'm going to go ahead and take the Sideswipe. Even though it's on the splash, I would rather have a removal spell. And with Holdrifter and Broadcast Rambler, like, there's also a chance that we get to sacrifice a vehicle and draw a card, which is kind of nice. Okay. Here we have a Slick Imitator, there's another Quick Welder, a Mangler, a Tranquil Quiff, and a Night Market. When I first opened this pack, I said, I'm definitely taking Fixing, but our 2-drop slot's a little light, and I think Mangler fits pretty well into that, and Quick Welder is a pretty good card for artifact synergies. I'm a little nervous about my 2-drop slot. I want it to be a little bit more aggressive, so I am going to take the Midnight Mangler. Alright, our Scoured Baron's Wield. Thrilled, I almost took it. We'll go ahead and take this Guidelight Optimizer, our Gear Seeker Serpent. So it does look like our line is pretty open. We got 2 Gear Seeker Serpents late. We got our Fixing Land late. I'm feeling Haunt the Network. This is a pretty late Haunt the Network. Haunt the Network is, like, pretty highly regarded, I think, within the format. And, we've had packs late where we would be happy with several different kinds of picks. And so I think I'm pretty happy about where we are. Now that I'm looking at it, actually, I'm not sure we want to play white off a splash. We can talk, it looks like our deck is base blue. But we can kind of look at, like, whether we want to, what color we want to be our splash. I think I might have been over-indexing up until this point about white being our other base color. Okay. We're looking at a pack that doesn't seem terribly exciting for us. There's a Optimizer, an Engineer, a Wicker Folk. I don't really want to take a double white card, and none of the fixing is in our colors. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this Wicker Folk. It does look like black. Like, we do have more in white, but it does look like black might be a slightly better kind of set of base colors. I am going to go ahead and move. Let's see. Let's put these on top of each other. I didn't realize my camera needs to be moved over a little. But I think Wicker Folk, if we end up a little bit more base blue, black, not blue, would be just like a slightly stronger card for our deck. Okay, this pack has Haunted Hayride, which is a blue-black artifact card that I think is pretty strong. It also helps us with our engines if we end up wanting to play this Zahur. I guess I should put this here too. There's also a Holdrifter. Not too much else I'm excited about. I do think I'm going to go ahead and just take this Haunted Hayride. I really wanted to make Zahur work, but I think we've found ourselves in a different style of deck where maybe Zahur is not as strong as it would have been otherwise. which is a little unfortunate. I do want to showcase this card at some point. The problem with Zahara is it really is like a build-around type thing. And I don't think that's exactly where our deck ended up. Ooh. Okay, there's a couple good cards in this pack. There's a Gas Guzzler. This starts your engines, and then you can sacrifice another creature or vehicle to draw a card. This is typically pretty good in blue-black decks. You know, you end up with lots of little guys or vehicles you're okay to sacrifice in terms of drawing. That being said, there is another Haunt the Network in this pack. Aside from the fact that this card is just great, it's also significantly better at killing your opponent in multiples. And so I do think I'm going to go ahead and just take the second copy of Haunt the Network here. All right, let's see. How many artifacts do we have? We have the Emery Garden, Hole Drifter, Hayride, Mangler. I'm deciding if, like, playing Voyage or Quick Welder would decrease our costs that much, and I'm not sure it is. This pack also not super exciting for our compose it. Not super exciting for our colors. I think I am going to just take another Haunted Hayride. I could consider taking the Foul Roads, but I just don't value these lands that make pilots that highly. There's just not too much more exciting in this pack, so we'll take this Haunted Hayride. I'm taking my packs much faster than I normally do. So if I don't play any of the white, we're at 19 cards. So we are going to want to find... Oh, I guess we can also play any of these black cards. Ooh, Voyage Home. Voyage Home is something that's making me consider this white splash a little bit more. There's also just not that much exciting in this pack if we don't play the splash. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this Voyage Home. I'm not committed to the splash. Maybe if we find like one more piece of fixing, it's something I might want to play. But I'm not sure. It does look like we can probably find enough cards in the next couple of picks to not play 3 colors and to be in 2, which might be a little bit more consistent. Okay, this pack has a Flood the Engine and an Engine Rat. It does also have Gallant Strike, but I definitely am in a position where I like blue removal spells more than I like white ones. I do also like Intimidation Tactics. I think this card is pretty good. But I love Engine Rat, but I really do feel like Flood the Engine might be a little bit better here. We do only have 2, I guess 3 removal spells, but I'd rather just have a higher density of removal. We did use all our time, too. I'm surprised it's taking we're so far behind. Alright, well, I think I'm just gonna go... We can either take this Voyage Home, or we can take the Guidelight Optimizer. And maybe a Guidelight Optimizer is a little better. It's an artifact. We already have this one Voyage Home that we're not even sure we're playing, and Guidelight Optimizer is another 2-drop that can help us kind of go into... you know, Hole Drifter is 5, but like Memory Guardian with it would be 4, like Wickerfolk Indomitable or Memory Guardian, which both seem kind of good. I think we're probably not playing the white cards. I'm trying to remember if we saw any fixing that we might get, and I don't think we did. If there was a chance we were going to get another piece of white fixing, which I don't think there are any in the packs because we've seen all these packs, I would consider taking the Quick Welder to play both. But I don't think we've seen any. I actually think I'm going to take this Aether Jacket. I like Aether Jacket with Haunted Hayride specifically. And it's an artifact that I don't think I want to play a 3rd Optimizer. There's a chance this doesn't make our deck, but I kind of want it in there just in case. Alright, I don't like Spectral Interference that much. I don't think we need the fixing land. So this is not looking like too bad of a shell. I think Hole Drifter is our best option here. I am not convinced we're playing this Hole Drifter, but I'll put it in there. I'll take the Siphon Fuel. I don't think we want to play, another Hole Drifter. And then let's see, what's our density of removal here? Deciding if we want the second Siphon Fuel or not. We are in a little bit of an awkward situation with some of our cards, but that's okay. I wish I realized how little white we had earlier. Maybe I should... As much as I really wanted to draft to her, I could have recognized that it wasn't going to work a little bit earlier. I just wanted to believe. All right. So we need one cut from here. Let's see. I'm thinking about what things do we have that reference max speed? Is it just our glitch ghost surveyor? Now that we don't have the other things. That's what it looks like. I think if it's just our glitch ghost surveyor, I'd rather have the aether jacket. It works better with our artifact synergies, and like it does get to destroy something. It has vigilance. It seems like it might be a slightly better flyer than our glitch ghost surveyor, given that we have no other kind of speed things. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut that, and then I'm pretty happy with this. It's definitely not the strongest deck we've drafted. You know, typically your black blue artifact decks definitely want to have some amount of like Pactol Terrors and stuff, but we do have 2 Haunt the Network, which is pretty strong. And so, you know, let's give it a ride, see what happens. Maybe a Haunted Hell ride? Okay, and here we are for game number 1. We don't have a 2-drop. Our opponent is on the play. We have 2 lands, but our 3-drops are pretty strong. I guess Haunted Hellride doesn't do a whole lot. I think I'm just like kind of confident that this format is slow enough that I can keep this and be excited about maybe some of my stronger cards that I get to play going into like turn 5. Also, Haunt the Network does gain life, so it helps us with stabilization a little bit. Alright, we did draw our land. It's definitely not the ideal hand, but I don't think I want to go down a card to find something better. Also, our deck is kind of light on 2-drops, so I'm not sure we would find that much better if we mulliganed. That was, you know, I don't know if I've ever seen this little guy over here. The balloon? That was kind of nerve-wracking. Can't click him again. Oh, now you can't see because of the molt tender. Look, he takes a balloon out of his throat. I think I like my tiny bones more. I think these little fans are so distracting. You can turn them off? I have drafted so much of this set, I had no idea you could turn the fans off. I always find them so distracting. Look how nice it is with them not there. Alright, our opponent is playing Sultai. Their Molt Tender milled a forest. Okay. We do tap land. We do have 4 lands that enter untapped. So I do think I'm going to go ahead and just play an untapped land to get our Haunted Hellride. Just start casting some spells. If we play Haunted Hellride into Indomitable, we're going to be able to drain for 4 with our Haunt the Network, possibly 5 if we play Hold Drifter first. And so I think I like just trying to get our cards on the battlefield. Our opponent played a Molt Tender and hasn't done much else since. Pactol Terror. That card's pretty good. Something we could definitely consider flooding the engines on, but we haven't really seen a reason to do that quite yet. Okay, I do really like Aether Jacket with Haunted Hellride, and there is some point where we want to try to play this Dismal Blackwater. I think now that we drew this Aether Jacket, it's going to be this turn. Wickerfolk Indomitable does block the Pactol Terror, but we're going to gain a fair amount of life with our Haunt the Network, and Aether Jacket's going to be able to attack for 3 every turn with Haunted Hellride, and it does also mean we get to play our Dismal Blackwater this turn and get our top lane out of the way, which I like. So, those are the game actions I'm going to take. I could have, crewed the Haunted Hellride and attacked. Maybe I should have considered that a little bit more if they block with Pactol Terror, but I think I value having the Haunted Hellride a little bit higher than that. Especially because it's an artifact that counts for our artifact synergies and stuff. But maybe it would have been better to attack with it. I definitely played a little too fast and just didn't think about it. This is the first set I've ever played with like high densities of vehicles, and so I'm not super used to thinking about them. Green Bauble. That's rather rude. This was our master plan. I guess we will go ahead and crew our Haunted Hellride. You know, it's not going to block the Pactol Terror, but it could at least block the Molt Tender. Prevents a attack, not that they were going to attack with it, but they left it untapped last turn and didn't mill. So I'm not really sure what they're going for with their Molt Tender here. Alright, we are going to just go ahead and take 3. And now I'm thinking we may want to play Haunt the Network going into the next turn. It's going to drain them for 3. Also, the Thopter can crew the hayride. Ooh, a 9/7. That definitely makes things a little more awkward, but a Thopter can block it. We're probably going to want to flood the engine, but we don't really have anything cheap to pair with the turn that we do that. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to haunt the network this turn. I don't really want to cast Hole Drifter and take a Jillian. And so this will help keep us a little healthier. And then I do think I'm going to go ahead and crew an attack. I'm not going to block with this. And so, you know, if they want to... Oh, it untaps. I forgot about that. That's pretty useful. This at least gives us a chump blocker for the 9/7 this turn. It doesn't make our whole turn flood the engine and then they're just attacking and we don't have anything. Like, progresses our board state a little bit more. Okay, past attackers. Yep, those are the attacks we anticipated. I am going to go ahead and just chump block the Tyrant. I just don't want to take this much damage. I'm hoping to draw something where we can play Flood the Engine plus a spell. It's a little awkward to just like... Okay, good. To just cast the Flood the Engine. I am now going to go ahead that we have another spell to play. I'm going to be flooding the engine, the Tyrant. I'm thinking if I want to attack, and I think I do. I think there's a possibility with all of the flyers and stuff that we might just be racing our opponent. I'm going to go ahead and attack with both of my creatures. And then this doesn't need Death Touch, so I'm going to go ahead and put the +1/+0 on the flyer. Just make sure that it pushes damage in case they decide to chump block. Looks like they're planning on surveilling with their Grim Bauble. Just a matter of when. Right, they are going to chump block. Maximum Overdrive. Okay, well, that does kill our Haunted Hayride. A little unfortunate. But we did push our additional point of damage. We'll go ahead and tap down this 9/7. So they do damage a little slower. Trip up. Okay. Sure. So they are just going to play the 9/7 again. Which, I mean, is not terrible. We can just continue to chump block it. Hole Drifter is crew 3. I think I'm going to play the Indomitable with a plan to chump block. I guess now we're not racing our opponent, which is not ideal. Maybe I'll leave back another creature to chump block. I'm really not sure. I don't like how I've played this game. This is one of those things where I feel a little less focused than I normally do. I do think I can go ahead and attack for 1. I guess this stays back as a blocker for Moltender. Just doing 1 help us. It does change our clock a little once we put counters on the Engineer. Or we can animate the Hole Drifter. I do think I care about changing our clock with any of our things that have 3 power in the air. And so, even if it means they can attack for 2 more with Moltender, I think it's better for our clock if we attack for 1. They're going ahead and thinking. Okay. I would have traded if they attacked the Pactile Terror, I think. And then just chump block the 9/7. I might still just chump block the 9/7 with my flyer. I just don't really want to take that much damage. And this means that next turn we can play the Hole Drifter. And if we want to chump block, we can chump block with our vehicle instead. Which is nice. It does also mean we finally get to draw cards. We do have a pretty high density of removal in our deck too. So we could play this Hole Drifter and then, you know, maybe we find like Hellish Sideswipe or something. And then we can sacrifice our Hole Drifter, draw a card, and get rid of the 9/7, which would be nice. Yeah, there it is. I do think that's what I want to do. I think it just gets rid of, like, a major problem for us. And we get to draw a card too, which is nice. Alright, they're going to go ahead and surveil, which is fine. I do also think this likely means we want to start attacking with our 1/3 in the air. It doesn't block anything particularly well. I guess if they attack with Pact Altar, we're blocking with Indomitable anyway, and this does block all their other attacks. It kind of prevents them from pushing an attack, and the 1 damage this time doesn't change our clock all that much, because I think we're going to end up attacking with, like, either 3 or 4 power creatures, which is nice with a denomination of 12. So I think I'm going to play this land and not attack. I think we're at a point now where, with the amount of cards and stuff we have, we're going to be okay to start attacking in the air and kind of being the ones that apply the pressure. And so I don't want to let them apply too much pressure here to the point where they're going to kill us before, you know, we kind of get the chance to reach our potential and kill them. I think next turn is probably going to be the turn that we end up turning this into a 3/5 and start attacking. We have 7 mana, and so if we do that, we do also get to cycle our Howler's Heavy. I think I just want to get rid of this Pact Altar now. It'd be cool if we waited, because we could cycle the Howler's Heavy, but I don't really, I kind of want to stay healthy. And we can play our 2/1 with our pump that we were talking about next turn to, you know, start attacking for 3, but also have a blocker that blocks all of their things particularly well. Oh, I see the returning things. Okay, that means I also definitely want to get our clock started. Deathless Pilot. All right, Midnight Mangler, an even better blocker than we had hoped. I'm going to go ahead and take our exact strategy. We talked about it ahead of time. We're ready to rumble. Go ahead and attack for 3. And so now we only need to attack our opponent for 3 more turns, and we definitely have plenty of cards to block their things. There is a chance they get to gain life with Pact Altar, but it doesn't really look like they're playing that many artifacts for that to be incredibly relevant. Oh, I guess it does drain itself, which changes our clock. So I should have probably done that 1 additional point of damage that 1 turn. Really, every point of damage matters. 9/7, okay. So I don't know if cycling Howler's Heavy, no, we probably will be able to cycle it. I was more thinking maybe we just want to play it as a 3/4. It'll block the Pact Altar. Oh, also, we have, what, 4, 5, 6, 7? We can play both of these this turn, and then we can just block the Tarion. We don't have to worry about chump blocking anymore. I think I like that. Oh, we can also do that with our Midnight Mangler. If we do 6 less, it'll still kill both creatures. I do think I want to draw the card, though. So I'm going to play the Indomitable. I'm going to play the Optimizer. And then I'm going to attack for 3. The -3, -0 doesn't really do very much for us. But I think I might want something better than our 3/4. Maybe I don't care about having something better than our 3/4. Alright, it's going to drain, which is a little annoying, but I think we'll be fine in the end. Point the way. Sure. The way to my victory. That's how I'm feeling. I think we'll be pretty well suited for it. Alright, the 9/7 is attacking. And I do think I just want to block with these. I guess I could also... There's no reason not to block with this. Just gives them an opportunity to pick different damage. Maybe they choose to kill the Optimizer. I think it's unlikely, but we're happy if they choose to kill the Optimizer instead. Alright, Tarion is out of our mind. I am going to go ahead and attack for 3. And then I am going to play this Indomitable. The only, like, attacks that they really have that are good now are if they attack with this Pact Altar. And so I would rather have this 4/3 despite taking 2 life, because it'll be able to trade and it blocks all the other things a little bit better. Player land. I don't think I should have cycled the Howler's Heavy. I think I should have just saved it to cast it as a creature. We would be in a much better position if I didn't cycle it. But, I mean, we just need to live one more turn. Man, I really wish I kept that Howler's Heavy. I always treat Howler's Heavy as a draw cards rather than, oh, a reach creature. Do they have enough lands to play this turn? They don't, but they do have enough lands to play next turn. Man, that 1 damage really has been pretty notable. Playing this next turn is really annoying for us. Hopefully we can just find our other copy of Haunt the Network and then it won't matter. Ooh, I really don't like that. Man, I wish I kept our Howler's Heavy. Okay, we drew a land. Not super useful. Let's go ahead and attack for 3 again. You know, we'll try to get them down to that 1. Hopefully be able to kill them. We'll play our land and, you know, fingers crossed that we'll be able to find another point of damage. They're not being very aggressive in their attacks. Okay, they can kill the flyer anyway. I'm not sure how relevant that is with their reach creature, but could they? Wait. They could have just killed us. 3, 5, 7, 9. All they needed to do was destroy my artifact. And they had lethal on board. It appears we're not the only ones making mistakes. They've got another 9, 7, and I definitely wouldn't say it's looking very good for us. Oh, and this time they're going to attack? Interesting decisions here. Okay. They're not going to attack. That makes a little bit more sense. I'm not really sure what's going through our opponent's head. Gear Seeker's Serpent. Okay, if we can live 1 more turn, we can make this unblockable next turn. And I think with a 5/6, it should be pretty difficult to die. You know, this 9/7 is not going to be able to attack. The most they can do if we block 2 creatures is 7. Gear Seeker Serpent was a good draw. Not quite on the network, didn't win on the spot, but 1 more turn, and unless they drew a way to remove it, we're looking pretty good. They're going to go ahead and think. Tiny Bones is looking at his boots. I wonder if there was a count of how many times I've broken this Tiny Bones arm clicking on it. All right, they're looking at the top 3. That's looking pretty good for us. I think we will be able to convert this one into a win. Velo Heart Bike. They can play that. They can gain 2 life, but unfortunately 3 is not 5 for them. Fortunate for us, I guess. All right, Velo Heart Bike into play. Oh, it is also an artifact, so just put them to 4, but still is not 5. Forgot about this Pact Altair. This Thoughtcast is kind of bold. It appears to be like almost worse than Divination in their deck. All right, and with that, we've got the first one. We're just gonna keep on checking over here in Platinum. Welcome to game number 2. Unlike our last 2-land hand, this one is missing a color and we're on the play, so I do think I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one. This hand looks better though, for sure. I think I'm gonna bottom the Siphon Fuel. I like having Gear Seeker Serpent, and we have a pretty high density of removal later, plus we have the Surveil. And I just love, I think 5/6s are, like, it's a great stat line in this format. Menace. Okay, that's one of the removal spells we talked about. There's also a Haunt the Network. We do only have 4 lands. Next turn we're going to play the Engineer. Deciding if I want this Sideswipe or not. I definitely want the Haunt the Network. I just think it's such a good card. Haunt the Network does also make our Gear Seeker Serpent a lot cheaper. I do think I'm going to go ahead and keep both. If we do that though, it does mean that exactly on like the turn we draw this, we're going to need to draw our 5th land. I think that's okay though. I should have switched these. I should have done the Hellish Sideswipe first. We can actually cast it next turn if it's relevant. We're going to play a 2-drop. Kickoff celebrations. The good news for us is it will be pretty difficult for their Bastronaut to attack into the 2/1/3s. Alright. Whoa, I never anticipated drawing that card. And I think that if this game lasts any longer with our opponent and their red cards, we're feeling pretty good. So I'm not going to bother attacking, especially because blocking the Bastronaut with 2/1/3s is so good. It invalidates all of their attacks. Alright, it appears they found their last color. Alright. And, yeah, we'll just pass it back over. Hopefully we draw a land this turn, and all of our plans will have worked out. They haven't really put any pressure on us, though, which is good for us. Eye is a little itchy. Venom Sac Lagak. Alright, and we did draw our land. Never didn't have it. So we're going to go ahead and play our Haunt the Network, targeting our opponent. I don't think I really care if I lose a Thopter here. And we saw last game how important 1 point of damage is. So I am going to go ahead. I'm only going to... I should attack with this one instead. I'm deciding if I'm going to want to pump this or if I'm going to want to have the artifact. And I think I value pumping this more. Whichever one I block with, I want to be more okay with dying. Because they can pump the Bastronaut twice and kill the 1/3 instead of the 1/1. And so I just don't want to put the one that I care more about living more into danger. Flood the engine. Okay. We can either attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What if we become the aggro? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Puts them down to 10. That's a multiple of 5, which I like. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm a little nervous about how many lands they have untapped. But I'm going to go ahead and make the attack and see if they do anything. I do think I'm going to do it. If it ends up making them use a removal spell on it, then, that just means that our Gear Seeker Serpent will live next turn. Crash and burn. Okay. Well, I would rather that die than the Gear Seeker Serpent. So, in reality, using the 5 mana to force him to use a removal spell there, it just kept us up a card. Because the Gear Seeker Serpent is alive for the mana. Which is not so bad. We do also have mana to play both Gear Seeker Serpent and Hellish Sideswipe, which is nice. And we're much healthier than our opponent, so we're definitely the aggro now. We want the game to end, and we want to kill them before they, kind of have the chance to stabilize. I need to draw another land. I am going to go ahead and attack with everything. We'll play our Gear Seeker Serpent. Play a swamp. We should have played our swamp first. It's always better to just leave up blue-black. It forces your opponent to think about more things. Not that it's super relevant here. And our life total is so high, I'm just going to save our removal spells for if there's something a little scarier. We're at the point now where, starting with the next turn, we can leave all of our 1/1s untapped to block and just attack with the Gear Seeker Serpent, and they're on a 2-turn clock. And so they're kind of the ones forced to find a way to deal with our board, not the other way around. They did get max speed, which does mean this is double strike, but that's not the end of the world. Okay, so I think, going to just go ahead and make this unblockable and attack for 5, and then I'm just going to leave all my other creatures up, I think. There's just, especially in green-red, there's not a lot of ways to gain life. And so now we just need to live their attack. And by leaving up 3 creatures, I think we should be able to do that. They either need to deal with the Gear Seeker Serpent or, they're dead. Alright, and with that, they're dead. I will see you guys for game number 3. Oh man, this really does move up a lot slower once you hit plat. Okay, here we are for round number 3. Again, a 2-land hand. This one has 4 blue cards and no blue source, so we're going to mulligan again. This one looks good. I think I'm going to put this Hellish Sides... it is a removal spell. I can't sacrifice the Mangler to draw a card. And we can Surveil. I think we'll be able to find enough lands with our Surveil that we can hold on to our removal spell here. Go ahead and play our Swamp. I'm very allergic to my cat. I normally give her baths so that I don't have as bad of allergies, but my allergies are just killing me today. Use the Wicker Folk. Hopefully we can find some lands. Alright, neither of those are lands. Getting punished for putting a land on the bottom. Maybe we should have just put the Sideswipe. I figured with Surveil too, and, you know, the amount of lands we have in our deck, we would have been okay to find another land. I may need to take some allergy medication. A 3/1. Okay. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and play our Midnight Mangler. And then I see no reason not to attack for 1. You know, they're only going to be able to... I guess they can crew their Glide card and then attack with 2. But then we can kill the Glide card, which I don't think they want. So we'll just take kind of a free point of damage. Tiny Bones hanging out over there. Turn off our little fans. Our friend has no buddy over there. Cloud Spire Coordinator. Right, so their deck is pretty aggressive. Red-white decks are pretty scary, especially when you're missing land drops. Okay, still no land. Thankfully we do at least have cards to play. I don't think I'm going to push the damage anymore. I think we kind of want to be able to stabilize as soon as possible. I'm going to play the Skyshreak Engineer and just pass. Hopefully we can find some way to stabilize. You know, they're going to get to the point where they're going to start putting counters on this, which we can kill it with our Hellish Sideswipe, which we might do next turn anyway. Gastral Thrill Roller. Well, that's a good card. They can make a free pilot. Our opponent has played 2 rares. We have not drawn a 3rd land. Not looking so good for us. Deciding the best way to kill this. Because we can double block with the 1/3s. I'm so sorry. And they only get to kill one of them. Which is nice. Talk about pop music. I got new glasses. Do you guys like them? They're not any different. They're exactly the same. With the exception of I don't have to... You notice I scrunch my nose a lot. It's because they used to fall off a lot. Now they don't fall off as much, which is nice. Okay, I see. They made it into a 3/4 flyer instead. So we'll go ahead and do no blocks. I do think this is better for us that the 4/2 with Trample didn't attack. I do think it likely means we're casting Sideswipe on the Glide card this turn. We just don't really want it to die. And we're going to sacrifice the Mangler to draw a card. It'll hopefully help us find our land drops. I think we would have been in a pretty awkward situation if we did keep the land. We've missed so many land drops. Oh, Spire Mech Cycle. That card's really good. I think we may be dead. If we don't draw another land, I think I will pretty confidently say we're dead. They can just group both. Oh god. We'll take 5 and double block the Thrill Roller. Okay, oh. Yeah, I think They can also discard a card. Maybe I just take 9 and I kill the Catalyzer instead. I think that's what I'll do. At least gets a creature off the field. We did draw land. I think we'll go ahead and play our 4/3. It's our best blocker. If we play the Aether Jacket, then... you know, worst comes to worst, we can sacrifice it to kill something. But we really don't have any good blocks. I think we have to play the Indomitable. I think we're likely dead. I'm not sure we can come back from how many land drops we've missed. We can possibly try to play Haunt the Network and stabilize next turn. But if they crew both of these and attack out this turn, we're taking a fair amount of damage. So I wouldn't say, oh, okay, now we're dead. We'll come back and we'll kill him next time. Okay, welcome back for round number 4. We can keep this hand. It's got a Wicker Folk. There's all of our colors. I think we're super happy with this one. We also are likely going to get to play our Gear Seeker Serpent on turn 5. I always love when that happens. Ooh, now we can possibly play it even earlier. No, that's not how math works. Yeah, that is how math works. I do think we want our land, and we have a 2-drop to play next turn with the Guidelight Optimizer. I think we'll do this. I don't want to put the card on the bottom and then flood. We'll have 4 lands, so we'll be able to play the Optimizer, and then we'll also be able to play the Indomitable on the following turn. And so I'm, you know, confident enough that we'll find other things that we're allowed to keep this 1/3 flyer on top. And then our Gear Seeker Serpent will cost 4, so we don't even really need the 5th land, which I like. Go ahead and attack for the 1. Play our Wicker Folk Indomitable as originally planned. It does also mean if they attack, I'm just going to let them hit me for 3 rather than trade, because it means we can play our Gear Seeker Serpent for free next turn, which is a much better blocker. Or not for free, but for 4. We got our rock over here. I do also have this one, but I couldn't disrespect my buddy Tiny Bones like that. Twirling around his key. Okay. That's pretty good. I'm deciding how aggressive I want to be about the Gear Seeker Serpent. I think if they didn't leave all their mana up, I probably would have attacked with this and then possibly given them the opportunity to try to cycle into the Howler's Heavy. But if they want to use a removal spell on the Serpent, they can. I just don't want to get blown out when I'm cycling the Howler's Heavy. The art on this card's pretty gnarly. Broken Wings. Yeah, see, we would have cycled it, and then they would have been able to kill it, and that would have been really annoying. And now we have a 5/6, and they have a much more difficult time dealing with it. Venom Sac Lagak. Alright. This is a good turn to attack and see if they block, which is nice. We'll go ahead and attack with both of these. And then if we wanted to use our Flood the Engine this turn too, we could have, because our Guidelight Optimizer can tap for mana, but I do think we're playing Skyshriek Engineer, and so we'll just leave our Optimizer untapped. I guess we should have technically tapped our Optimizer in case we drew a spell we wanted to play for 3 mana. But I like this play. Our Gear Seeker Serpent is nice and safe at home. Alright, they're cycling their Brood Wagon. We can now start using the Optimizer to activate the Gear Seeker Serpent's ability to not be blocked. And that will kill them pretty quickly. Alright, now we don't even need to activate its ability. I do think I'm going to go ahead and just start doing this. You know, we're attacking for 6 a turn. Oh, I can attack for 7. Is that better? Oh no, they have reach. We can only attack for 5. That is a little unfortunate. There is one turn where we can attack with both of these to deal an extra point of damage, so it's the same clock. I guess we can also Siphon Fuel the Hazard of the Dunes one of the turns. I just kind of want to force them to have an answer for our Gear Seeker Serpent rather than, you know, us utilizing our removal before it's necessary. Alright, we'll go ahead and take the 3. I guess if I want to Siphon Fuel the Hazard of the Dunes, I should do it now, because I don't want them to be able to activate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They do this, they crew this. They still can't block our Gear Seeker Serpent profitably. Okay, I think I'm into just doing this. now. I could also attack, wait for the block, and then kill something. That might be better. Oh, but I don't want them to block our flyers. Okay, no, I'm going to do this now. They're going to crew in response, and then we can attack with our flyers, which should get us down into, you know, a similar clock with our Gear Seeker Serpent. And then we'll attack with our flyers and our Serpent, and then our Guide Light Optimizer will tap to cast our other Guide Light Optimizer. Really optimizing our mana efficiency here, aren't we? I'm sorry, that was bad. Okay, that has reach, but that's okay. We have Flood the Engine. The life gain is a little annoying, but it's not that bad. Oh, another Flood the Engine. Are they just dead? 1, 6, 8, 10, 11. They're not quite dead. So we'll go ahead and Flood the Engine the 1. Okay, they've decided they've seen enough. We got there, and we're feeling better. All right, welcome for our next match. I actually think Foxglove is one of the members of Sanctum. I'm not sure. I think they spell their name a little differently than this, so maybe it's not. All right, we're on the play. We have 2 Wickerfolk Indomitables and a Siphon Fuel. I'm going to keep this, although it's really slow. There's many formats where I would mulligan this, but I just don't think the decks in this format kill us that fast. You know, and if they're playing an aggressive deck that's going to kill us, then it is what it is. We have removal spells. We have some 4/3s we can play. We have our lands, which I always value highly. And so we're just going to see how it goes. Honda Network's a pretty good draw. We do need to draw a 5th land. We are also likely going to need to kill the Sky Seeker Serpent at some point. Refueler. Oh gosh, this is a terrifying start from our opponent. I am going to go ahead and just play the Wickerfolk. I really want to make sure we don't miss this land drop. And so, despite... I don't think we need this Howler's Heavy. Despite this being kind of awkward, I really don't want to miss the opportunity to kill our Elvish Refueler or something. Especially now that they're going to be able to start activating this exhaust ability, you know, several times a turn. This is interesting. Either way we block, we lose our Wickerfolk, but it kind of forces them into one of the exhausts. So, like, if we block the Elvish Refueler, now if they want to keep it alive, they have to activate the Elvish Refueler instead of the Serpent. And I think I'm willing to lose the Wickerfolk to not have them get these additional lands this turn. I guess they can just let this happen, but then our creature lives. We save 2 points of damage and we're happy. Alright, so they are just going to exhaust here. We are going to need to kill the Elvish Refueler in response, just so that they can't keep doing this over and over again, which is unfortunate, but I think we'll be okay to stabilize. Our hand is pretty strong. There's no chance we're blocking the Serpent, so I'm going to deal 1 additional point of damage. It's going to be a 2/2 with Death Touch. It's just not where we want to be. Alright, and then while they're tapped out in response, we'll go ahead and kill the Elvish Refueler so that this doesn't happen again. Alright, they revealed a Bestow Greatness. These lands are pretty. And Nimble Thopterist. Elvish Refueler is so good. Card is so powerful. Alright, so now we have options from here. I do think I'm probably going to play Haunt the Network, because it will give me some additional blockers to kind of get rid of the Serpent, stop taking damage. And I think I like that. Alternatively, we could start playing our 4/3s, which might be better. It does give us more artifacts for when Haunt the Network drains. And it gives us blockers on the ground. I actually think I'm going to play this instead. I think I like that more. Talk about pop music. Talk about... I have a different song stuck in my head than I normally do. Spectral Interference. Well, at least it wasn't on our Haunt the Network. I wouldn't say I'm feeling great. I did leave up our 1/3 to possibly block a 2/2 this turn. I don't think we want to block the camera launcher because they can just put a counter on it, but we can block this Beast Rider Vanguard for free. Talk about pop music. These are pretty too. I feel so serene with all of our opponent's cards. They're also so serene. They're gonna exile our Wickerfolk Indomitable. That's fine. Alright. They got back another island. We are just taking damage. Alright. Aether Jacket does block this Serpent. But I think we may just be in... We must cast this Haunt the Network. Especially because if we draw land, we can play both the Indomitable and the Aether Jacket. And this does at least give us, like, some blocks we can make happen. Alright, let's see. I guess they don't want us to double block the Vanguard, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and block this Serpent and this Pothole Mole. This is like our one free block that we get. Yep. We're taking 6. Not looking the greatest, but, you know, at least we've taken some trades. And we had gained some life. Alright, a land. Definitely no complaints. It does mean we can cast a couple more spells this turn. I cast the Indomitable first because I would prefer if that was not the card that was countered. They are going to start getting to activate their Beast Rider Vanguard, and so I do think we're going to have a relatively hard time recovering this game. Especially our opponent. This is the importance of being aggressive with your attacks and limited. Like, a lot of our opponents haven't been taking all of these free attacks, but our opponent has been attacking us with all of their creatures every game, or every turn, which is making it a lot more difficult to stay alive. Alright, I can double block this camera launcher if this is the attack, and then I only lose one creature and they lose the camera launcher, which is nice, and then we can trade here with the Indomitable. That doesn't seem terrible to me. I think it's to exile a card from a graveyard. We'll go ahead and do that. Then they can choose. It is similar to sacrificing the Aether Jacket, except for, you know, we don't take the additional points of damage. They're probably going to choose to kill the Aether Jacket given their density of artifacts anyway. The 1/3 is a better blocker, though. Okay, they did kill the 1/3. We definitely could be feeling worse now. I think we're probably going to kill this Beast Rider Vanguard. Alright. Unfortunately, we don't get free attacks because of the Thopter. But I think that's okay. I am going to let them activate the Beast Rider Vanguard in the end step, and then probably in response Siphon Fuel. I just don't really... I'm going to let them activate it. I'm going to see what they get. And then before the turn passes, Hazard of the Dunes. They can play that, and then they can immediately... Yeah, they have enough to immediately exhaust it. Oh, no, they don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 9, 10. So they will not have enough to immediately exhaust it. Okay, well, I think then we need to save the Siphon Fuel for this Hazard of the Dunes. Alright. I do think we're going to go ahead and just take this. Getting to the point where their Soul Land is going to be turned on. I think unfortunately the Soul Land is just a little... Oh, Ketradon. Well, that's not ideal. I think we're still going to need to Siphon Fuel the Hazard. We want to do it before it gets too big to Siphon Fuel, and Ketradon at least doesn't have trample, so we can chump block it. I am just going to go ahead and tap it down. I'm still not feeling great about our position, but at least we can stay alive. And then we can play our... I think we should play our 4/3 over our Optimizer. It does deal 2, but, you know, we have much better blocks going into this turn now. I don't think we're going to be able to deal with this inevitability of this Beast Rider Vanguard. Not really the way our deck is made. Alright, well, with Scrap Compactor, being able to kill our thing, I think we may just be dead. Alright, I don't think we can come back from this point. We'll go ahead and concede it up, and we'll see you for the next one. Okay, here we are for round number 6. We have land spells, we have a 2-drop, a Memory Guardian we can play on turn 4. I'm feeling pretty good about this hand. The Brilliant, that's such a great tag name. Alright, play our Swamp, pass it over. We're gonna play our Wicker Folk. Oh, I didn't know they had a little pet. Their pet wasn't there. He pounced in. Go ahead and play our Wicker Folk. A big problem with our deck is our curve is just a little high. Okay, I think I like both these cards. I'm gonna do the Mangler first. Draconautics Engineer. I see. Okay. Get our point of damage in. Play our Mangler. Unfortunately, it does look like they will get a dragon. Talk about pop music. Talk about... Oh, a flyer. That's okay. We do get to kill it with the Howler's Heavy if we want to. I don't think we do, though. I think we just want to play our 3/4. And now this is the power of Haunted Network. If we, next turn, attack with the Haunted Network, or play the Haunted Network, it's going to drain our opponent for 5, which is just so much, on top of getting our 2/1/1 flyers. We would also like to draw land. Drawing a land here is particularly good. A lot of the time, when you have Draconautics Engineer, it's better to wait until you can make the 4/4 in, give it haste. It's a pretty aggressive move, but they did just make the 4/4. It would have been better for us if they waited. This is alright. We can go ahead and hopefully we draw a land. Oh, that's not so bad. I was going to say hopefully we can draw a land, and then if we did draw the land, we could use our Siphon Fuel on the dragon, but I'm not upset flooding the engine of the dragon anyway. They'll probably tap it to tap their air response unit, which is fine. We can still attack for 3. And we've at least handled the dragon. And I think I want to be the aggressor because of our Haunted Network being able to do so much damage when we play it. So I'm going to attack for 3. The reason not to would be that, we can't block this 3/3 in the air next turn, but I think we're okay with that. Begin burning. What a cute little tiger. He walks in circles. What a baby. Another Draconautics Engineer? Oh boy. This one we can try to kill if we draw the land. Don't really think we have a choice, in fact. If they, if we draw the land, I want to kill it before they can make another dragon. It's just, if we don't draw the land, then we get to kill only the dragon. I think our plan for winning the game is going to be in the air. We have a good blocker kind of invalidating their attacks on the ground. Alright, they're going to get to attack for 3. Which is fine. Talk about pop music. Talk about... Alright, we want to land. Land would be ideal here. Okay, they're going to exhaust it to trade. I think that's okay. I think we're willing to take that trade. Oh, burner rocket. That's fine. They're just gonna... I think they're deciding to trample over for 2. I don't see why they wouldn't. It's dying anyway. That's okay. They trample over for 2, but we've gotten rid of a creature. We did draw our land. Very good news for us. We can go ahead, get rid of this thing that's going to make a flyer. It is also their only creature currently to crew, which is great for us. now we can just start attacking with everything. The next turn we can play Haunt the Network, and it'll drain them for 4. And we're feeling pretty good about ourselves, I think. Oh well. A 4/4 with Flying and Haste. Not ideal. I think we're still okay to cast Haunt the Network here. We do have a way to, you know, chump block this. And this does put them to 4, which is 1 attack away from death. So I think we're, I guess I should play my land just in case. Feeling pretty okay. Talk about music. Oh, Gear Seeker Serpent. I was going to say we might want to attack and then use our Howler's Heavy. But now that we have Gear Seeker Serpent, I'm just going to play that with the plan to try to kill them next turn with Gear Seeker Serpent. Then we can cycle our Howler's Heavy with the defensive blocks. Like we can block with the Wicker Folk and the Memory Guardian if they attack. Not that I think they're attacking, but I'm feeling pretty good about our position in the game. Gear Seeker Serpent, really overperforming in this deck. I found a lot of the time, I'm just happy to play Gear Seeker Serpent. It's like a 5/6 for 6 or 7 mana. It's just a big creature, and with such big board stalls that happen in this format, 6 more mana can't be blocked is a really powerful effect. Alright, they're deciding what they want to do. They said nice. I'm just going to go ahead, you know, if they have it, they have it. There's not going to be any stopping it that we do here. See if we've got a good emote for it. Alright, they do have, oh, they can only deal 5. Or do they have another one? There it is. I'll say groovy to that. It's not a problem. We could have attacked with everything. I guess they get the free block, which we don't want. Alright, this time I'm going to attack with everything. They're likely going to block the Memory Guardian. And with that, we can Howler's Heavy to keep it alive. I will need to answer this phone call momentarily. They said good game. Alright. And with that, I'll see you guys for the next one. Alright, welcome to our next match. We don't have a black source in this one, but we've got 2 blue with 2 cards we can play, and then that also cruises into our Memory Guardian with just what our hand has. And we have another 2-drop, so I do think I'm going to keep this, despite it being a little awkward mana-wise. I do also like that our Midnight Mangler also, like, it really keeps us safe, you know? With my 3/3, I feel nice and warm and safe and at home. I do think I'm going to go ahead and move my webcam over a little now. I don't know why I've avoided doing this for so long, but now you'll be able to see a little better, which is nice. Okay, we'll play our island and pass it over. Oh, maybe this one's a little higher on the stack. Maybe we should put a little lower than this. You'll have to give me advice on my webcam placement. At least now you can see my hand. Alright, so Memory Guardian will cost 4. So if we draw a land, we can play the Memory Guardian next turn. So I think I'm going to play the Optimizer first. If there was something I wanted to block, I would have played the Mangler first. But this just gives us a little bit more options in terms of what we play in the following turn. Alright, we didn't draw a land, which is okay. It does mean we'll attack for 2. No entity trackers at 2 mana in the set to blow us out for our attack. Guidelight Optimizer, it kind of looks like a lamp. I know it's not a lamp, but it kind of looks like one. Alright, they're really thinking when we go to combat. Alright, we're getting roped. So, hopefully, you know, if we get to attack, we'll attack with our Guidelight Optimizer, and then we can go ahead and play our Midnight Mangler. Wonder what our opponent is spending so much time thinking about. Okay, they're going to cycle their Howler's Heavy. I see they're part of our Church of Howler's Heavy over there. And take a little less damage. So, good news here is, despite not drawing a land, we can still play our Optimizer, or our Memory Guardian because of our Optimizer. And then we can also get in for a nice 3 points of damage here. And now we have this 3/4 in the air, and hopefully that's good enough, because we still have not drawn another land after all of these turns. One more land would be really great, because it does mean then we can flood the engine if there's a threat, which, given our opponent's kind of slow start, that might be enough to kind of hold them off until we can finish the game out. All right, they're going to make a pilot. Interesting. Okay, well, they can draw a discard. We may have missed land drops. They've put themselves down a land, so I guess it could be worse. Haunt the Network, not a land. All right, we are going to play the Engineer. I'm just going to go ahead and attack for as much as I can. I want to be the aggro. Like, we're going to have a hard time stabilizing with how far behind in lands we are. And so I'm just going to try to do as much damage as possible. Kind of lower our clock with hopefully killing them in the air with Memory Guardian. And then we're probably saving Flood the Engine to hit something that flies. We now have them on a 3-turn clock in the air. Well, a 1/1 flyer is not really what I want to be flooding. They're tapping it this turn, so we're okay. All right. And we are going to have our Mangler to block. Like, we've been attacking with our Mangler up until this point, just that we have, you know, ways to kind of push the points of damage, but we can use our Mangler to block now. We'll just attack in the air with a second Flood the Engine. If we draw lands, I'm happy to Flood the Engine, the Thopter, and just, you know, any flyer, and hopefully that's enough to kind of kill them. They are playing red-blue, which is quite a bit of removal in it, so I am a little nervous that they might just be able to, like, kill it. Okay, we need to draw lands now. We need to be able to Flood the Engine, the Thunderhead Gunner. We're not going to be able to attack for the rest of the game. We have drawn a lot of cards without drawing a land, so certainly we can find it. Hopefully if we draw the land this time, even if like they find a way to invalidate our attacks, if we just keep drawing lands, we can like try to haunt the network and kill them or something. But we need a land. Still no land. We can play this card. But we can no longer attack, so I guess we'll just play the one card we can and pass it back over. I'm now not feeling great. We really just, we needed to draw our third land. We have 15 lands in 27 cards, so we're like 56-ish% to draw land, I think is where we're currently at numbers-wise. That was a total guesstimation. Don't take it as I'm super smart. I did not do the math in my head. It's probably less than, actually. Whatever. Another Thunderhead Gunner. Oh no. We need to draw land. The good news is that we do have time to draw the land now. We kind of wanted to kill them before they got the chance to like do things, but without drawing, you know, lands, we aren't going to be able to kill them fast, but we are pretty stable. Like, we do have good ways to block their things. And so, you know, we do have time from this point on to draw lands. So we'll see. This Marauding Mako is going to get huge, though, with 2 Thunderhead Gunners. It looks like they've kind of been flooding 11 lands. Normally, screw beats flood, but if you never draw the third land, then, you know, maybe it's going to be the other way around. They do also have tons of cards, even with the lands they've drawn. They're definitely in a better boat than we are. Hopefully we can flood their engines, and doing that 2 turns in a row if we draw land this turn. Not having drawn a land by now is very statistically unlikely. We're in a pretty rough spot as a result. Hopefully they just continue to not attack. Ah! Hit him with the nice. You know, I mean, there's just nothing we can do about this. Unfortunate. This is a pretty good deck. I think it would have done better if we played a little bit more Magic. But I don't think there was a way we were getting this start. I mean, we almost killed them without drawing the lands. They're at 7. All right, they're really, really thinking. I don't know what they're thinking about. We have 2 lands. I don't think I kept oh, I did. lands, am I right? I didn't realize the way it's written there, I didn't realize it was going to be two different things. Oh, they're deciding on their casting of Fuel the Flames. Alright, we need to discard a card. We have a lot of removal skills. I guess it could be the Siphon Fuel. Talk about pop music. Another flyer. Going to make killing them more difficult for sure. Not that we're in a good place to kill them right now. I'm not sure if we could win if we drew only lands for the rest of the game. It depends on how aggressive. I think if they played Ottoman and they started getting a little bit more aggressive on their attacks, one of the things you hear me say as soon as I see my opponent has not a lot of lands is that I want to kill them before they stabilize. Our opponent could definitely, oh, I'm so sorry, be making more aggressive attacks here, and then we wouldn't be able to recover. But because they're not making any attacks, they're kind of giving us the opportunity to draw a land and eventually get out of this. You know, like here, they cast, they could have cast Stall out and tapped our 3/4, and if they did that and started making attacks, you know, we're not going to have very good blocks, or ways to handle it at all. And so, you know, they probably could be playing a little better. Yeah, at some point we're going to need to start dealing with their big flyers. All right, they are going to start making some attacks. I think out of all the attacks that they could have made, this one right here is pretty good for us because it means we can flood the engine the other one. We are definitely trading with this here. There's 0 chance we would let it live. I do think we're going to have to just take 1,000,000 off the Mako. Probably have to block it later. But I don't really want to lose any of our flyers, and, you know, we can go ahead and block the Thunderhead Gunner in a way that we're pretty profitable on the ground, and then hopefully we can deal with enough of their reach things. I do think we're going to have to flood the Skyray first. Just so that they can't make aggressive attacks on us in the air. And we're basically dead. I'm not going to bother conceding until we've drawn a land! Finally! Alright, we'll tap down the Skyray. We still don't have a good attack this turn, unfortunately, because they only attacked with one of the Thunderhead Gunners, but this takes a little bit of pressure off of us. And if we can make one attack in the air, we should be okay. The problem is they're going to attack with a Mako, and we're going to need to block it. And so... oh. Alright, we've died. Unfortunately, we did not draw our third land until it was way too late. So, this was a rather unfortunate draft. You know, I thought this draft deck was pretty good. It's kind of sad it didn't do any better, but it is what it is. We'll take the 4-3, still a positive win rate. I will see you guys for the next draft video. It will be recorded in Las Vegas. Very exciting. I am going on a trip for both my birthday and my friend's birthday, and, you know, thankfully we have with a little bit of help from some nice pit bosses, we have a penthouse suite. And so I'm bringing all my stuff there to keep filming and recording for you guys. So I should have a nice vacation, and you'll see me in a new location the next time I record. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to support me, the best ways to do that are to support this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Helps things with the algorithm. Helps me feel good about myself. The other way you can support me more directly is through my Patreon. On my Patreon, I do post all of my deck guides, any of my flex slots for decks that I've, you know, put a lot of thought into with the sideboards that I have, as well as, you know, some commentary on how I plan on getting better this year in Magic. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.